story that came out at the end of last year in the Atlanta Black Star. And I think this is really important because what these Ethiopians did over in Israel, I think is very important and maybe something we should think about doing in this country. Hundreds of Ethiopian Israeli rejecting mandatory military service in protest of institutional racism. In Israel, hundreds of citizens of Ethiopian descent are refusing to serve reserve duty in the Israel Defense Forces, citing racial discrimination by the Israeli government and various state agencies, including the police. As David Sheen reported in the San Francisco Bay Review, more than 300 Ethiopian Jews have made the decision to refuse any military order to report for duty, including soldiers from all Israel Defense Forces, infantry brigades, and specialized commando units. As long as the nation fails to respect their civil rights, these Black refugees say they will fail to respect their obligations to the state. So let me get this straight. If my rights don't exist, why should I have to do reserve duties? I'm not going to say this guy's name. An Ethiopian Israeli in a video interview with the Bayview. Our issue is not with the Army. We are not saying that the Army is the problem. It's the state. The Army is an arm of the state. We say to the state that we are starting off by no longer doing reserve duty. He also may stop fulfilling other obligations, as long as the policy of discrimination and exclusion and disparaging treatment towards Ethiopian does not change. Don't bother talking to us about reserve duty. Hey. Like people of African descent and other white-dominant nations, Ethiopian Israelis experience racism in their daily lives. A legal aid society that provides free legal service to Ethiopian Israelis strive to help in combating it. Racial discrimination affects all Israelis of Ethiopian origin, particularly those who were born and or raised in Israel, serve in the army, and now want to be an equal part of Israeli society. And with that, there are some grievances, discontent, and even anger about why these young people who serve in the army should be treated differently than any others. They serve the country and fulfill their duties as citizens here in Israel. A small number of Ethiopian Israelis have refused to serve. So they're pretty much saying, look, if as long as you keep racially discriminating against us, we are not serving. And to be honest with you, that's not a half bad idea for people over in this country to adopt that kind of thinking. You know, it's amazing how these Caucasoids want to discriminate against you, but in a time of war, they're ready to put Blacks on the front lines. Nah. I kind of see the logic in what they're doing in their protest. In Israel, all able-bodied 18-year-olds are required to serve in the military, men serving for 3 years and women for 2, though there are religious exemptions. While there are very few secular draft dodgers in years past, in recent years, the number of Israelis declining to serve has increased to 28% among men and 42% among women, according to the Bayview. Some of those rejecting further service are in fact already in the military. According to the Israeli non-governmental organization Breaking the Silence, some combat veterans who were stationed in the occupied territories and are charged with controlling the daily lives of the Palestinian population have refused to return to duty. In an effort to end the racist occupation, the organization has compiled testimony from 1,000 veterans who have witnessed the human rights abuses that have resulted because of it. Soldiers who serve in the territories witness and participate in military actions that change them immensely. Cases of abuse towards Palestinians, looting and destruction of property have been the norm for years, but are still explained as extreme and unique cases, the group says on its website. While it's a reality is known to Israeli soldiers and commanders, Israeli society continues to turn a blind eye and to deny what is done in its name. Well, it's just like a lot of people over here deny discrimination towards us. I mean, I realize not all, but there are Black Palestinians in there. I learned this maybe like around 2011. There are Black Palestinians in there that are Israelites. And I didn't know that either until I started watching a few videos. And this was probably about 6, maybe 7 years ago. Yeah, there are some Israelites that are in Palestine, but you hardly ever see them, but they are definitely there. Um, the institutional racism facing Israel Black Ethiopian population as a whole includes discrimination, violence, racism in policing, and excessive policing. Wow, they do that there too. But you know what? No shock. Police officers in America were trained by the IDF. So you can see the similarities in how they police over there and how they police here. Not a shock. It includes discrimination in public places, in universities and college, and everywhere. He did say, however, that there has been heightening awareness of racism and discrimination towards Ethiopian Israelis and movement to improve the situation over the past few years. Yeah, don't fall for that. They know how to put on an act. I can tell you that firsthand. Israel is one of the most racist countries in the world. Yeah, right next to America. People in Israel find it strange to see an Ethiopian woman who behaves like an Israeli. In addition to facing discriminatory practice in employment, housing, and other facets of daily life, even having their blood thrown in the trash when they donate. Oh, that's cold, as the Bayview reported. Ethiopian Israelis also experience harassment from law enforcement. And it just talks about an Ethiopian that was harassed. And we know what that's like. That's not shocking at all. Okay. I want to hold accountable the Israeli government, the Israeli society for the values they say they have. So yeah, they're like Americans. They say one thing, do another. We know how they roll. I want them to look in the mirror and know what they are doing is wrong and stand up for their declared values. They don't have values, and don't expect these people to change. They are so set in their ways. There's just no way you're going to eradicate any type of racism at this point in the game, because this mess is global. It's a global institution. And they have made this world very anti-Black. That's what they've done. And the only way the system will change if these people just simply die. It's not going to change any other way. Please leave your comment and subscribe, and if you can, donate to this channel. Peace, family.